There's absolutely room for Blades of Fire to be someone's favourite game, or at least favourite game right now, though I don't quite know why, but it's definitely not mine. That's what I wrote after about 15 hours of Blades of Fire. Normally, those kinds of lines end up cut out of the final video because I find it's helpful to write thoughts as I go along to give some perspective on how I felt, but my thoughts end up being a little bit more nuanced with the final credits in mind, and it felt like it was worth highlighting that thought. Sometimes I really liked what Blades of Fire was doing, and this is perhaps the single biggest element that reminds me of those mid 2000s games I was talking about. It's the type of game that's so weird I can imagine a video essay in a decade talking about the hidden gem of 2025. This isn't helped by the fact that, despite the developers working on this game for years and clearly putting in tons of work, not only running it in Unreal Engine 5, but citing works like Excalibur, Ladyhawke, Count of Monte Cristo, the team even reportedly took influence from tons of artists throughout history. However, the game was only announced a few months ago in February, and now it's suddenly already out. No build up, no trailer at Summer Games Fest. A developer with games like Metroid Dread behind them putting out a game with months of pretty light build up, and that's it. Despite a generic and jarring start with its world building and not the most gripping a story, it does start to really justify its decisions as you go along, and there are these little stories around the world, like those of a boss and his son in a fort, a king troll who is exiled from his land and relying on your kindness to get him back on top, and even Delira's very intimate connection to the few characters in the world that actually matters. Blades of Fire is a world that revolves around you, and every single element, character, and plotline seems to involve Delira, and that gives it this floaty, dreamlike feeling, and powering through the world only adds to that fever dream quality.